These incidents don't happen in an alley.
Mhm.
They don't happen at a random park somewhere where a predator will grab a kid. I mean, sure, those incidents can happen, but those are far more rare. Where it happens is where an institution puts kids in the orbit of a predator and the institution fails or the organization fails to notice the red flags that were raised by the perpetrator through prior complaints, through his or her conduct. Red flags of spending too much time with these kids, giving gifts, inappropriate comments or behavior where adults or other people in charge see it and ignore it. In the case I told you about where the 15-year-old girl denied it and then
Yeah.
the 40-year-old coach attacked her, when we got into the litigation and dug deep, we found that the school principal had seen them out at a restaurant together. The 40-year-old coach and my 15-year-old client at a restaurant alone at 9:30 at night and didn't do a thing about it.
Huh.
6 months before the arrest, while they were in the midst of having this abusive situation where this coach was abusing this 15-year-old girl, the principal saw it, didn't do a thing, ignored it. Saw it, looked at them, looked away, walked out.
Hmm.
Went to the coach, not the parent, went to the coach the next day and asked a simple question: is everything okay? And of course, what did the coach say? Oh,
Sure,
of
of
course,
course.
everything's great. Sure. I was just, she's been having a hard time with the certain move. I wanted to give her some special attention. And she's been really insecure about her play. I wanted to give her special attention. Oh, okay, no problem. Sounds good. Yeah, and I'm gonna give her some extra playing time. And the principal never did a thing about it. And that perpetrator went on to abuse that girl for 6 more months and ultimately attacked her at her job.
Wow. What do you think, what institutions most often get wrong when it comes to dealing with abuse allegations? And not just allegations, but noticing. I mean, obviously, sometimes they're just dropping the ball and not communicating. What are the steps they should be taking, and what patterns are you seeing in the way that some institutions cover up things or mishandle allegations?
Well, thankfully nowadays, cover up still happens, but it's not as common as it was. What they get wrong is they ignore the warning signs. They don't take the warning signs seriously. What they should be doing, in my opinion, is the second they have a warning, they should remove the perpetrator from the environment. Not the child, remove the perpetrator. Because if you remove the child, what's the problem? You still have a perpetrator there, and he'll
Mhm.
just turn to another victim. So that doesn't solve anything.
No.
Yeah, you may have protected the kid, but now you still have a shark out there looking for the next meal, right? That perpetrator is looking, who am I going to get next?
Yeah.
The way you do it, in my opinion, is you remove the perpetrator from the circumstance, you report it immediately to law enforcement. And a lot of these adults in these schools and these organizations are mandatory reporters. The law requires them, if they suspect potential abuse, to report it to Child Protective Services, to the police, and then you let the police conduct their investigation. And more often than not, police do a wonderful job and they will get to the bottom of it and they will uncover the crime. But so often, unfortunately, you don't have that. You have schools, you have institutions, you have hospitals, you have organizations who don't want to get the police involved for whatever reason. Oh, it'll look bad. I don't want I don't want to get that kind of attention. It'll make me, as the administrator in charge or as the head of the organization, then I'll look like I failed. And then you get the sweeping under the rug. Let's bring the perpetrator in. Let me give him a strict warning. And they bring him in, and sometimes they'll write him up. You were warned never to touch these kids or never to engage in this sort of behavior, and you promised us you wouldn't, and we're going to put this in your file. Now go be a good boy. Go don't do this again. Well, guess what happens? They do it again and again and again. So do we have everything you need?
Do you find that juries are generally sympathetic to survivors of abuse, or do you think that there's still like a bias or a skepticism in the courtroom? And how do you deal with like a defense attorney, or even an institution that tries to smear or discredit your client?
Well, two questions. So I think jurors generally get it right. I think people get it right. I think if a juror hears the real facts, the full facts, they get it right. Sometimes in jury selection, the jurors who are most sensitive and most prone to get it right are removed because they have big hearts, and maybe they'll say something like, "Oh, this is so upsetting. I don't know if I could be fair. I would just want to find for the victim." And then so you might be left on a jury with a group of jurors who may seem um, a little more difficult to convince and a little more skeptical. But human beings, I've always believed human beings generally get it right. Human beings have hearts, they have human hearts. And so if you tell the right story, the true story, if you tell the story that should be told, you convey what happened to your client correctly, jurors will get it right most of the time. There are always exceptions. They'll get it right. Now, defense lawyers, the best defense lawyers, yeah, there are two types. There are some that say, "Oh, it's all a lie. It's all made up." I don't think those lawyers have a lot of credibility.
Yeah,
I think the better lawyers, the better defense lawyers are the ones who are honest. I think better lawyers, whatever side you're on, if you're just honest and straight and you deal with the situation as it exists, you don't try to say up is down and down is up. You say, "Look, this is a horrible thing that happened. It should have never happened, and we regret it." And you try to argue about the reasonableness of what should happen, the reasonableness, what's reasonably fair for compensation to this particular victim or survivor. That to me is the most effective approach because it shows that you're being honest and fair and human. The
yeah,
people who just say, "Oh, this is all a lie," and they don't deserve anything. There are a lot of lawyers out there like that. You see them when there are car accident cases. You see them when there are medical cases. You see them in these sorts of cases. But to me, that's the wrong way to approach it. It's just not a human way. Ultimately, we're human beings, and if you're doing it right, frankly, if you're a lawyer for an institution and you know this person is a real survivor, was victimized, and your institution dropped the ball, you shouldn't get that far. You should be coming forward with your client saying, "Look, we missed it. We screwed up. We want to do what's right, what's fair. What's fair to your client? Let's do that." That's what should happen. And I'll give credit. There are a lot of defendants out there. You see it in these mass cases who are trying to do what's fair, but so many more don't. So many more, they fight the cases, they deny it, and hopefully they ultimately get or will get taught a lesson about justice.